Welcome to Strange Movies Explanation. I Am Legend is a 2007 American post-apocalyptic film contains action thriller, loosely based on the 1954 novel of the same name by Richard Matheson. It was directed by Francis Lawrence. Spoilers ahead. When the movie starts, Dr. Krippin is interviewed on TV about her great discovery that has genetically changed the Measles virus to attack cancerous cells. She explains that all the cancer patients on whom the cure has been tested have recovered so far. The scene jumps to 3 years after the outbreak, in 2012. New York City has become an empty and desolate place. Deserted ruins of Manhattan, grass covers roads and buildings, abandoned cars line the highways. It seems that the apocalypse has arrived. Robert Neville is driving through the deserted town accompanied by Sam, his dog. Neville's only companion is his German shepherd Samantha, Sam, and to cope with his loneliness, a herd of deer leaps across his path, almost causing him to crash. He gives chase at high speed. He tries to shoot them, and then we realize it's a hunt. The deer run down a road blocked with abandoned cars. Robert gives chase on foot, trying to hunt one deer down. As he rounds a corner, he gets the deer in his sights only to be beaten to the kill by a lion that presumably escaped from the NYC Zoo. Robert is torn as to whether to shoot the lion and its family, who also enter the scene, or leave the deer to them. At this point, Robert's watch alarm starts beeping, signaling that the sun is setting and he has to go. Next scene at Robert's home. It is the typical American detached house, but it looks like it is in the middle of a war zone. He bleaches the steps to hide their smell. Robert and Sam are having a seemingly ordinary evening, eating processed food and watching recorded TV programs. After a bath, Robert shuts, locks, and protects every door and window with massive steel shutters. He sleeps with Sam in a bathtub, rifle in hand, with screams and screeches surrounding the house. Flashbacks reveal that his wife, Zoe, and daughter, Marley, during the chaotic evacuation of Manhattan as the military was enforcing a quarantine of the island, Neville himself stayed behind with other military personnel, to try to stop the virus as he is an army doctor. They tell Marley they are going on holiday. She sees her parents are in distress and tries to calm them down by showing a butterfly with her hands. The dream scene is interrupted by Robert waking to face his lonely reality once again. Robert exercises and goes down to the basement at his fortress-like home, where he keeps a small but high-tech laboratory. We see that he has been experimenting with a vaccine for the virus that has wiped out most of the human race. He's tried the vaccine, evidently only one of the hundreds, on some mice to find a viable cure. All the mice act incredibly aggressive, except for one. Robert makes a note of this mouse and deems that specific compound ready for human trials. Later, Robert gears up and goes to a video rental store where he regularly talks to some mannequins and the characters on film recordings from video stores. At night, he barricades himself with Sam inside his heavily fortified Washington Square Park home to hide from the dark seekers. It seems he has created a game for himself to prevent madness from consuming him. There Robert takes notice of a woman mannequin he would like to get to know better. While in the field, picking up corn, he promises Sam he will talk with her tomorrow. Robert later visits some condo flats nearby, searching for supplies. He comes upon a room with a bed surrounded by plastic wrap and another room with 2 cribs. We see the pain in his eyes as he empathizes with the loss of loved ones. Robert has created a radio message and plays it over all AM radio frequencies. It says that he's alive and that he'll be waiting for any survivors at the docks of the bay at midday every day. While playing golf on a military airplane, Sam spots a deer, so both of them go after it. The deer runs into an old building at ground level, and Sam follows even though Robert tries to hold him back. Robert enters the building as Sam would not return of his own accord. Carefully, Robert searches the darkened rooms. He treads quietly, understanding that creatures called dark seekers might be in this building. Dark seekers react to light and sound, hoping that he doesn't awaken them by blocking his flashlight with his hand. Robert wants to leave the building but finds it difficult to do without Sam, his only living friend. He sees the corpse of the deer. Relieved it is not Sam. He continues onward. He stumbles upon a room full of sleeping dark seekers and tries to get back carefully. Robert spots Sam under a desk. Sam steps back as if signaling that someone is there. An infected male then leaps out of the darkness to attack Robert and is shot dead. Both Sam and Robert start running away through the building. Some more of the infected appear and chase them. Some of them jump on him, but after he jumps through the window, the Darkseekers on him die in the sunlight. Soon afterward, Robert sets a trap to catch one of the infected by breaking a blood vial on the tarp. He succeeds. The leader of the Darkseekers runs outside of the building, and after screaming at Robert, he retreats to the safety of the darkness. Because his skin burns as soon as he comes in contact with the sunlight, Robert takes the captured female Darkseeker home to his lab. He uses the vaccine that made the mouse less aggressive. First, he sees positive results, but then after a moment of struggle, the woman flatlines. He revives her with an adrenaline shot and continues to adapt his serums in the hope of finding a cure. That night, he again dreams of the past, when his wife and kid tried to leave New York in the chaos of its evacuation. He relives the panic and terror on the streets as the city citizens try to escape before the infected take control. He seats his family in a plane, and by his daughter's wish, he takes Sam. As they are about to take off, Robert wakes up again. Before heading out, Robert sets his clock to 30 minutes before sunset. He listens to old news about those cured by Dr. Krippin's vaccine exhibiting symptoms resembling the early onset of rabies. After visiting the seaport at midday, he fishes and talks to Sam about a party he might throw for him since it's his birthday. He wants to know now. Robert hates surprises. The next day, Neville notices Fred, a mannequin usually at the local video store, positioned outside Grand Central Terminal. Then he shoots him in confusion. However, Neville realizes he is being watched by the Darkseekers from within nearby buildings. As he approaches Fred's body, he is ensnared in a trap similar to the one he used to capture the female and is rendered unconscious after hitting his head. Robert is caught by the trap. When he wakes up, his watch is beeping, and it's dark. Sam is faithfully waiting for him. Finally, he cuts himself free just as dusk falls, but he falls on his knife and impales his leg. The infected leader then appears with infected dogs. They attack him right as the last slimmer of light disappears. Sam defends him, fighting off one of the dogs. Robert manages to crawl back to his car to retrieve a pistol, shooting the infected dogs dead. He looks over to see Sam collapse from a bite wound and picks her up, and lays her in the car. When he gets home, he puts Sam on a table and injects her with an experimental vaccine. The vaccine fails in helping Sam as Robert realizes her hair begins to fall out, and Neville injects her with a strand of his serum, but when she shows signs of infection, she attempts to bite him. Neville is forced to strangle her to death as she struggles in his arms. Tears stream down his cheeks as he says goodbye to his only friend. He then goes and buries her in the streets. As promised to Sam, he visits the woman mannequin at the video rental store and tells her hello. He begs the mannequin to answer him. The darkness is suffocating Robert. In a grief-stricken rage, he decides to fight all the infected face to face. He sets up a dummy at the pier and the infected run at him. He drives his SUV at high speed into the hordes of infected who roam the streets at night. He nearly runs off the end of the pier and crashes. The infected overturned his SUV. Just as he is about to die to the leader of Darkseekers, a bright light shines on him, scaring them off. The woman tries to get information about Robert's house whereabouts. He tells her the address and to only go there after dawn, so they can't track where he lives. Robert blacks out. Track where he lives. While blacked out, he has dreams about the past once more. This time he dreams of the helicopter his wife and child used to escape New York. As it takes off, a nearby helicopter is attacked by an infected and crashes into the helicopter carrying his family. He wakes up in his house to Shrek playing on the TV and stitches on his knife wound. He grabs a gun and goes to the kitchen, hallucinating for a moment that it's his family. Robert hasn't had human contact in so long that he is confused. The people who rescued him are Anna and her son Ethan, who have heard Robert's radio message and went to find him the previous day. Anna makes them breakfast, powdered eggs, and bacon. Anna explains a plan to leave New York and go to a colony of immune survivors in Vermont. Robert, however, insists that everybody is dead and doesn't believe that such a place exists, which scares Anna and Ethan. Robert then explains he was saving that bacon. That's why he acted out. After calming down, he apologizes to Anna but still refuses to leave. He then shows Anna his laboratory and injects another serum into the infected woman. While closing down the house, Anna again pleads to Robert to come with them. He asks her how she knows that there is a safe zone in Vermont. Anna says that God told her. He has a plan. Robert becomes irritated. He tells her facts about the infection, like 90% of the people died from the Krippin virus, less than 1% are immune, and the other 588 million people turned into Darkseekers. Is that your God's plan? He asks. A moment later, Robert realizes that the infected are attacking the house. The previous night they had followed Anna back when she rescued Robert. He activates his setup defenses, lights and blows up cars. The infected are so great in number they breach the shutters and few make their way into the house. One of the infected is breaking the roof for a better passage for other Darkseekers. After Robert shoots them, he, Anna, and Ethan retreat to the basement lab. They realize that the infected female he had captured earlier and tested the virus vaccine on has returned to her human form. Robert shuts his bulletproof glass door before the infected get in. As the leader comes, he starts to ram into the glass, making the cracks in a butterfly shape. Robert thinks that maybe it is God's plan after all, remembering his daughter. He takes a sample of cured woman's blood in a syringe and gives it to Anna, telling her to hide in the incinerator with Ethan until dawn. Robert grabs a grenade from his drawer, and as the leader of the infected smashes the glass, who has made a personal quest out of hunting Robert down for taking his infected wife, they collide, killing all the infected in the room. Anna and Ethan reach a strange place in the middle of the countryside. The road is cut by a castle-like wall and a steel door. There, some human survivors live in that enclosed community. Anna gives the syringe with the antidote to the human leader of that small community. Before Anna hands them the cure, Anna narrates how Neville's efforts and sacrifices to save humanity ultimately became legend. Then her voiceover tells us of the legend that Robert Neville has become. The end. Subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like this. Thanks for watching guys. Videos like this.